Hello everyone and welcome back to PSGL here for round 11 of season 30 here in the PlayStation F6 tier for another great event that we hopefully will witness today. I'm your commentator Jackson, again a solo this week, and if you're anything like me, you're very excited for what should be another exciting instalment to what has already been an exciting season so far. Recent races, we've seen quite a change to the status quo that we got used to at the start of the season. We've seen a lot of different winners in the last few races. Only between the last two races did we see Davey win back-to-back races, which was the first time since round 5 of the season when Kart Racer won 4 in a row that we've seen a driver take back-to-back victories. So perhaps we're starting to see a new driver come to the front here, as Kart Racer has had some struggles the last couple of races. No points in Zandvoort. Did have a much better race in Interlagos, but still was not back on the top step of the podium. Ended up P3 in that race. However, he'll be looking to go a little better here today, as many drivers who had tough races in Interlagos will be doing, or trying to do just that. But I say Kart Racer had a tough race, he didn't. His a strong drive, managed to reel in the leaders late in the race, but from third position couldn't manage it. It was very much a duel between Davey, and in second place it was Lynx, who was looking to try and improve on his third place. But he certainly did improve on third place. He got second, however not quite the win he was looking for, and as a result, of course, the streak of quite a few different drivers winning, I believe it was 5 drivers in the previous 5 races, was ended by Davey by winning back-to-back races, Zandvoort and Interlagos. Two, I suppose you could say, similar racetracks, whilst visually very different. Both tracks with quite a lot of high-speed corners and a lot of, well, I say a lot, quite a slow, quite a short lap, both around the same lap time. So maybe that's played into Davey's hands, slightly shorter laps. Mexico, not as short as both Interlagos and Zandvoort, but is certainly not with the longer tracks on the calendar. So we should see lap times under 80 seconds here quite comfortably. So still a relatively short lap time here, as we start to see some of these drivers complete some flying laps. Most drivers out on the soft tyres at the moment. We've got quite a few on the mediums as well though, so some people just looking to burn that set of medium tyres at the start of this session, get a feel for the track without having to use a set of softs that may well be useful at a later date in this race weekend. So we have I believe 15 minutes left in Q1, the only qualifying session we have here in PSGL. Short qualifying, 80 minutes in total. First 3 minutes have already flown by, and we're getting ready to see some lap times appear on the timing tower here in this session. Got some yellow flags out there. It looks like mostly it's going to be cars letting other cars through who are on flying laps, as this early in the session I don't think we'll see many people push to the quite over the limit, I suppose I should say, because there's not worth it at this stage of the qualifying session. It's way too early to be pushing at a level which could end in a retirement, so most of these guys will be driving at probably around 90% of what they can usually do. Because there's no real need, the track conditions won't be perfect yet, and equally the driver themselves won't have the full gauge of what grip is on offer at this stage of the session, so it's not worth going for a great lap just yet. Rafa is the first driver to set a lap time. It is a 1:15.822 on the medium tyres. Let's wait and see who can better it. Dommel unable to do so on the soft tyres, second off of the pace there. So maybe there's a mistake on that lap for Dommel, or maybe Rafa's lap was just that good on the mediums. I'll have to wait and see until more laps coming in. There's a great lap there. 1.2 seconds up ahead of Rafa. Van der Bruggen and the Haas puts in a brilliant lap, but only 3 times on the board. That could end up being beaten as well, and I would argue it's more likely it'll be beaten than it won't be, as Mitch comes in clearly having some issues on that lap, comes in with a 120, way off the pace. And then we have Brecht in second place, as Lynx now goes to the top of the time by 2 tenths, and more drivers starting to set lap times in this session. But Lynx at the top of the times, and we're starting to see some more competitive lap times in this session, as Lynx currently with just 6 drivers setting lap time so far on the provisional pole position, but a long way to go in this session. Lynx has been a very strong qualifier in recent races. Kart Racer only 5 milliseconds behind the Ferrari driver there, so he's got some good pace in this session as well. And another thing, Lynx had some very strong qualifying sessions recently as Trasmike now goes to the top of the times, only 300ths ahead. Very close margins up from the field at the moment as Trasmike trying to get himself back up the order. Trasmike hasn't had the best of seasons. He had quite a consistent start to the year, having quite a few points finishes. And it was fairly decent in the first few races, getting a P3 in round 2 and a P4 in round 3. But then missed the race after that, only 3 points from round 5, retired from Austria, 2 points in Saudi Arabia, only 1 point from Spa, then no point and a DNS for means that he's not up in the championship perhaps where we would expect to see him, but as he's showing here so far, he's got some good pace when he's able to really get on that limit, so keep an eye out for Trasmike, perhaps going to do more today than his championship position would suggest he's capable of. Which of course another always exciting thing, championship it's very changeable at the moment in the mid-pack. Of course we've got Kart Racer with a very strong margin of 42 points at the front of the championship. However, that battle for second is quite busy at the moment. We are starting to see Davey break away from that with consecutive victories. However, it's still only 10 points between second and third, and then you've got pretty much the entire field in that battle for third in the championship. No real big margins further back down the order, so there's so many drivers able to compete for the wins this season. It's really, when it comes to the championship fight, it's all about consistency. It's the drivers who have been consistently up, finishing races in high positions. Those are the guys at the top of the championship, because there's about 10 different drivers who could be on pole each race, and it's just about whoever's... It's the driver that gets top 3 every week is the one that's in the championship lead. I say that Kart Racer's qualifying hasn't been a strong suit, but in the race at least, Kart Racer very strong all season, always consistent, only one time and missing the points, and that was his first race without line here in PSGL. Very little experience on that day and ended up retiring after struggling quite a bit, but bounced back the next week and got a podium. Only been off the podium twice when he's finished the race this season. Just shows how strong he has been as he looks to try and continue his grasp of the championship. But again, as I was saying, he's really demonstrated how important it is to be consistent this season, because, you know, so many drivers who can be competitive. It's just being about the driver who's competitive the most often, if that makes any sense at all. That is the key to being in this championship fight, and is the key to success. Meanwhile, in the mid-pack, got quite a few drivers, I was saying, battling that out for P3. We had only seen 2 winners in the first 5 races of the season. However, since then we have had 1, 2, 3, 4 new winners to make it up to... we had, I believe that was 6 different winners in the first 9 races of the season. Actually, that's not true. It was 5 different winners in the first 9 races of the season. So we start to see a bit more variation as the season's gone on. But still, we're seeing some usual suspects up at the front of the field as Kian goes to the top of the times there. What a strong lap time of a 1:14.1 there for the Aston Martin. It's a very good lap there for Kian. Is just over, well, yeah, nearly 3 tenths clear of Trasmike. And of course, the track will be improving as the session goes on. So we expect to see these lap times get quicker and quicker throughout this session. However, still, to be at top at any point in the session is an impressive feat, so look out for perhaps some responses from the likes of Trasmike, Lynx, Kart Racer and Jonah running out the top 5 at the moment. And Van der Brugge, who was the first driver to break into those 14s, is now down as in 8th place actually, so he's having some troubles here early in this session. And yes, let's keep an eye on what these guys up at the front can do, as Kart Racer has just begun his flying lap now and on the McLaren onboard, flying over these curbs. Is this a push lap? It doesn't. Oh, maybe it is. Oh, just running a high gear there. It does look like he's pushing, actually. Yes, he is. Indeed, he makes his way up towards the next chicane of this lap. Gets it in. A little bit of a lock up on the inside front, but gets the car in relatively nicely. Maybe a tad too much curb on the right, but still maintaining a decent speed, making sure to upshift as early as possible, really short shift the engine. Make sure you maximise your traction on exits. Now flying to this high speed air section. Watching the throttle tray through here is always exciting. How brave are these drivers in this stage of qualifying? There's still time to improve, so it's not worth risking it all just yet. But Kart Racer is almost 3 tenths up on his lap. Jerks it in now to the stadium section, once a baseball stadium of course, but now a home for some great racing, and the fans are in for a treat in there. It's now out of the final corner. Kart Racer coming towards the line, past the pit entry, and across the start finish line. It is fastest for Kart Racer. A 10th clear of Key and Weiss. So that only, what's that? Just 300ths actually clear, but it's the first driver into the 14 zeros, and perhaps a sign that we could well see some drivers even higher than that, as Davey comes across third, and invalid on their lap is Trasmike, but it's a great lap from Jonah, who will go fastest in the session with a 1:13.8. Great lap there from the Haas driver. Oh, that's some drama going on here. Davey doesn't seem particularly happy with the Haas of Jonah. That's a surprising development though. But yes, Jonah is top of the times and the first driver into the 1:13s, and is looking strong so far in this session. Another driver who has been doing quite well this season, trying to get himself higher in this championship. Currently sitting third in the championship. Had that great duel with Kart Racer in Spa. In the end, won it out in the final couple of corners of the race, and took home the victory on that occasion. Looking to try and get another pole this season and try and convert this on to win. But all the tracks where you're looking to qualify well, it's quite possible that some of these drivers will be quite rather starting third than first. But that of course is because of how long the start-finish straight is between the start line and of course turn 1. Really the slipstream it's powerful enough that if you start third, you could be first into that first corner, and the slipstream is so important here. Again, you maybe don't even really want that good of a start. You don't need a good start. As long as it's fairly average, matching those around you, if you get that slipstream, you could be passing ahead into turn 1. But then when you get slightly further back, 5th, 6th on back, again, you still have that same slipstream effect, if or not slightly stronger because more cars in front of you. However, whilst you have that extra speed, it gets to a stage where they're 3-4 wide already, there's nowhere to go. Which sometimes is obviously the best chance to just watch and pick up the scraps, because if they're going 3 or 4 wide, there's a good chance that not all of them are making it out of that first corner alive, especially here at a track like Mexico, where it's such a tricky first couple of corners. The chicane, sort of three-parted chicane, it really does lead up for some drama here, as the high curbs on the inside bounce cars across the track, and equally those on the outside. Just when you're on the outside of one corner thinking, oh, this is nice bit of clean room racetrack to work with, you turn to the next corner and suddenly you're on the inside. You're the person being squeezed to the apex, just trying to keep your front wing alive, and that's where you face troubles again. And that's the thing, these drivers, you've got to think, what do you prefer, outside or inside? But even to that extent, it doesn't really matter, because if you prefer outside or inside in that first chicane, there's a good chance you're going to have to deal with at least one occasion of both, because, well, it's sort of flipped in that middle part of the corner, which allows us to see some great racing. But equally, the drivers probably don't enjoy it quite as much as we do here. They're pretty for a much simpler first corner. Just one turn is enough for them, but of course we get that great chicane, which in wheel-to-wheel racing can get a bit drama-filled, but for the most part is an exciting part of the track to watch the cars through. Not at their highest speed, but certainly one of the highest risk parts of the lap in the race. Track limits another part here, as you see quite a lot of drivers with invalid lap times, as we see Keane driving around at the moment. But again, valid lap times going to be quite common. Penalties definitely a possibility in the race, so keep an eye on that one. Warnings could be everywhere in this one, as so many corners on this racetrack. You have to be up the limit against track limits. The paved runoff areas, the asphalt runoff areas, and the very flat curbs mean that you can really use more of the track than you're allowed, and go quicker. The issue is you're not allowed to do it, and if you do it too much you will be penalised in the race, and if you do it in qualifying at all you'll have your lap time invalid. So you're going to have to balance that aggression in the race, because if you get it perfectly right every single lap you're going to be much quicker than everyone else. But let's face it, it's impossible to get those track limits perfect every single time. I think in the race we'll see a lot of drivers, especially those with the pace advantage, taking it a bit easier and not pushing quite as hard on those track limits during the race, until maybe the final few laps of the race, where it really is time to move and where you just need to get that track position, and at that point you need the speed, and to get the speed you need to use those track limits, and that's where we could see some drama later in the race with penalties. So keep an eye on that one, especially if the field is close. We could see dirty air perhaps affecting some of these drivers. If they're used to qualifying on a nice clean track ahead of them, in the race they're going to have a car in front of them. They may take a speed slightly slower than they were doing in qualifying, even late stages of the race, and they'll still understeer or oversteer off the road with the dirty air on their car. It's Keane now second driver in to the 113s with a 113.911. Only 400ths off of Jonah's lap time, but did go quite a bit later in the session, so probably not the most representative lap time there for Kian. Certainly a very strong lap time. If no one else can really improve as much as he has been able to, then he could definitely get a top 5 starting position. However, I'd say it's unlikely that they'll hold that track position now on the front row, because a lot of these guys have still got a set of tyres and a lap to do. But Kian, you know, maybe he's going to go for a cool down lap here. I mean, he's low on fuel, so I don't think that's going to happen, but I think maybe it was just an earlier run for him in this session, as he will try and get the car back to the pits, but I believe that will be his session over, as you can see him there cruising out of fuel and struggling his way back to the pit lane. A lot of drivers now out on the racetrack. Kart Racer already on a lap here in the McLaren Championship leader, 43 points in the lead. Doesn't need any spectacular performances. He can take it a bit easier perhaps in these final few races, just to try and keep himself ahead of the championship, just taking home top 5s and points paying positions. And as I say that, he pushes a little bit too hard and invalidates his lap time, but he should have time and fuel left to go for another run, and that's why a lot of the drivers will have gone out earlier in the session, because the earlier you go out, the more chance you have of getting that second lap in the event that you make a mistake on your first. And also, you know, get a little bit less fuel, but Kart Racer is going to pit. He must not have the fuel to get another lap in, or the tyres are already too worn, who knows. But Kart Racer into the pits, he will not improve in this session. Kian also coming to the pits. Lynx invalidated his lap. Is he going to go again? Or are we going to see more drivers struggling in this session? If you're in the pits now, you're not going to get a lap in with only a minute left in the session. It's a 1:13 lap around here at its quickest. Lynx is going to go again on his lap. Let's see what he can do in the Ferrari. Third in Zandvoort, second in Interlagos. Could it be first for him today? But before we even consider that, he's going to have to put in a strong qualifying effort. And let's see what the Ferrari driver can do. Can he put himself in position to take his first win of the season through the first chicane now? What can he do? And he invalidates. That's what he can do. DRS is open, but the lap is over. For the Ferrari driver, he will not be able to improve. Our professional pole sitter is on a lap currently as well. If he can improve, it may well seal that pole position, but currently not many drivers out there being able to improve. Dave behind him on the racetrack trying to beat him. Lynx, Kart Racer, Kian, the 3 drivers in between them not able to improve. Then we've got Jake Marsh, who is, believe starts a lap now as well. Lots of drivers out here trying to set the quickest lap they can around this Mexico City circuit. Purple in the first sector there for Jonah. This lap good so far. Perhaps pushed a bit more in that first sector. The first sector very much a track limit sector, I think it's fair to say. So just by taking a bit more risk, you can gain a lot of time. Flying through the S section now. Look at that throttle trace barely lifting in these high-speed parts, and just goes off the track. Jonah will not be able to improve his lap time in this qualifying session. He is locked in there with a 1:13.8. Chazza has climbed up the order, and he is up into 4th place. Now the pressure's on David, and he's invalidated. Jake Marsh, he's a 10th.5 up, but a bit too far back in terms of lap time already to be able to get up into that fight for pole. But what can he do now? The highest driver yet to invalidate on their lap in this final run of the session. Into the stadium section. Gets it nice and slowed down now over the curbs. Through the final corner. Where can the Williams driver put himself? He spins out of the final corner and into the wall. That's where he's going to put himself. It's into the wall for the Williams driver, Jake Marsh. Everyone having issues on that final run of the session. Trasmike, is he been able to keep this lap going? Or is he pulling into the pits? He's pulling into the pits as well. He's had issues. And everyone else apart from Rafa, and Rafa's into the pits as well, has had problems. So all of our favourites up at the front have had issues here in this final run of the session. And because of that, it stayed very much the same. And Kian, I said, it'd maybe be lucky if he stayed in the top 5 here with that lap. But no one could improve. Kian nailed that strategy. He went on the racetrack when apparently there was less of a curse on drivers out setting laps. And he went second. And I take back what I said earlier. That is a front row start for the Aston Martin driver. But it's a pole position to Jonah, who will once again be trying to put on a show of performance here. And we could have an exciting run down to that first corner as we wait for these final couple of drivers to get pulled in to their pit boxes now. So here is our starting grid for this race. It is Jonah up on pole position, less than a tenth ahead, less than half a tenth ahead, less than 400ths ahead of Kean in second place. And it's Championship Leader Kart Racer in third. McLaren locking out the second row of the grid, good for their Constructors' Championship bid, with the Ferrari of Lynx in fifth. Then it is Davey in sixth, Jake Marsh in seventh, and that's Trasmike in eighth, with Dommel in ninth, and running out the top 10 is Chiquito. And first car outside the top 10 with a free choice of tyres is Istrike, followed by Rafa Istrike, one of 3 drivers this season to have multiple wins on this season so far. He joins Kart Racer with 4 wins, and Davey with 2 wins on that list. Of course, Istrike with 2 race wins himself. Those 2 wins came in round 1 in Portimao and round 7 in Saudi Arabia. 2 quite crazy races, if I don't mind saying. But that is your lineup for this race, and should be an exciting one, so make sure you don't go anywhere. The cars are off now on their formation lap. Jonah leading the field away on this formation lap. Let's have a look at what tyre everyone has gone with for this race start. Jonah, and of course everyone inside the top 10, has started on the soft tyres, of course locked in to that after qualifying. But yes, the rest of the field a little bit more interesting here. So let's look down in 11th on back on the grid. In 11th we have Istrike on the medium compound of tyre. Then Rafa in 12th, also going with the medium tyres for this race start. Then we have Brecht in 13th, he goes to the softs. One of 2 drivers outside the top 10 to pick the softs drive, trying to gain something off the start. As someone looks to have spun there, I believe that was Istrike. It was indeed the rebel of Istrike who has had a little bit of spin on the medium tyres, perhaps not got the temperature that he would want just yet. But then we have Van der Brugge in 14th, with Mitch in 15th. Behind him we have Lars in 16th on the soft compound of tyre. Micheluzzi is in 17th, Yagazan in 18th, and Cameron in 19th there. The bottom 3 all on the mediums, with Lars on the softs. As I said, 2 drivers outside the top 10 starting on the soft compound of tyre. But the field now making their way through the stadium section, and our last chance to see these cars going a little bit more of a cruise pace as we prepare for the race here. And what will be an exciting race start, so make sure you don't go anywhere, because this should be one not to miss. Lots of competitive drivers up at the front. So the cars now line up on the grid, ready for the race. The last car is in position now. The lights are coming on, and we are ready to race here. The lights are out, and we are racing in Mexico. Is it good enough start for Jonah? It looks like it is. He's clear before they get off the line. And now Kian trying to make something happen here in the slipstream with the race leader, trying to know when to pull out here as they make their way into turn 1. Kian is going to go to the outside. Can he make it stick? Jonah is going to use all the road there, block off the Aston Martin's run, and Jonah is going to hold on to the lead of the race. They make their way out of turn 3 now. It's a good gap built already by Jonah. Crucially is going to be safe up into the complex of corners coming up now. The rest of the field switching around further back. Kart Racer up in third still, but dropping a couple of positions. There is Chazza, as he's now defending from Dommel in the Alfa Romeo. With a little bit of contact there as Chazza slides off the road, and he's going to drop even further positions, as he's having a lot of issues, as Van der Breggen at the back of the pack has spun around by the looks of things, and is down in 19th place. So issues early on here for the Haas driver. Whilst his teammate leads, he is down in last. More drivers who have had some tougher starts. Brecht has dropped down the order here. Has he got some wing damage or something? Doesn't look like he's got any visible wing damage, but of course we know could be some under the surface damage to that Ferrari. But other than that, looks like most of the field doing alright here on this first lap. Already nearly with a second lead out front. Jonah trying to pull away here. A strong lap there that he's put in. Already built 1.2 seconds. Have a look at the ERS he's used. You can see where most of that time has come from. Much more ERS than his rival behind him. But Kian has a bit more to think about here at the start. Kart Racer in third, right behind him, trying to pressure that Aston Martin to go a little bit quicker. But at this stage of the race, pressure probably won't help too much. Got to maybe work together here and try and catch Jonah. But I mean, we said in qualifying that Kian made his lap a little bit later than most people. Of course, everyone else had a chance to beat it, but everyone else pretty much made a mistake on their laps and dropped them. Well, it costed them their chance to improve. So perhaps Kian could be a bit of a blockade early on, but certainly not a slow driver. To get a qualified second no matter what the circumstances, very important and a very impressive piece of driving. However, in this race, we could well see him get passed by the likes of Kart Racer and Lynx. Although Lynx not having great pace of his own either now, in a fourth position. Trying to make something happen here. But 7/10 behind Kart Racer. Kart Racer was right on the gearbox there of the Aston Martin, makes a small mistake. Perhaps chucked in a bit too deep in the stadium section. Cost himself a little bit, and he's going to drop back even more. As Jonah puts in another fastest lap of the race here. Let's see what these guys can do. Maintaining that lead, growing that lead. Jonah is pulling away out front here, trying to take a dominant victory. But we know it's far from easy here, as Kian trying to drive as quick as he can to reel that gap back in. But Jonah just looks a little bit more confident here in the early stages and is pushing the limits, and got a decent gap out front, but that did come down by a little bit there. I wouldn't be surprised if Kian got a warning there, and as we speak about warnings, it is a penalty already for Cameron, down in 12th position, 3 seconds for multiple track limits warnings there. But Kian looked a little bit questionable on the second apex there, but of course it takes 3 warnings to get a penalty, so 1 warning, 2 warnings, completely fine and allowed. It's when you hit that third that the penalties start rolling in. But Kart Racer here in the dirty air, trying to get his McLaren onto the back of the Aston Martin, but credit to Kian here. He's pushed a little bit hard on this lap perhaps. He's maintained to manage that gap to Jonah in front. Of course he wants to bring it down, but currently doesn't look quite possible. And equally he's not under too much pressure from Kart Racer this time, who is perhaps sliding a little bit further back. But of course when DRS is enabled, that will bring the McLaren right back on to the Aston Martin in second place. DRS now is available and is open on lap 4 of this race. Kian could be in trouble as we've got a problem further down the order. Is that Ischik dropping down the order? It is. He's spun and lost his wing and into the pits and speeds into the pits. I fear we could see a retirement here for the Red Bull driver as he pulls it into the pit box, and our 2-time race winner has retired from the race here just 4 laps in to the Grand Prix. A mistake there for him, perhaps contact as well, hard to tell, but certainly something has gone wrong as we look back to the battle up front here. Kian in second, reeled in enough, a 10th or so in this first sector, trying to bring that gap down, perhaps using a bit more ERS at this stage. I say that though, ERS is slightly more balanced than it was before, but still it is Jonah in the worst situation as he tries to manage that gap. But of course now, because of the ERS he used early on, is now going to be a bit of a disadvantage on that side of things, so certainly can't be too cautious despite the lead he currently has. But Kian that right there, 1 mistake from Jonah and that gap is back below a second, and these cars behind will be right in it. So I definitely don't rule out these guys but further back especially if the likes of Kart Racer and Lynx perhaps have a little bit more pace, because if they have that and then they pass Kian, because he's done with Jonah, has spun from the lead of the race. I said that it would take one mistake for him to get back into DRS, but it's a massive mistake for the Haas driver. A huge mistake. It's cost him the lead of the race, and it was a fairly comfortable lead. It's only early stages, but that is a comfortable lead thrown away by Jonah, who is now under pressure from Chiquito, trying to pass him for that 9th position, and it's heartbreak already in the early stages. Jonah makes a big mistake, and it's going to drop down to 10th position. That gives the lead over to Kian, and well, that has changed this race there. Jonah, the car that looked to be the quickest guy in the field, makes a mistake, a big mistake, and is now down in 10th place. However, crucially, looks like he's avoided hitting anything, which means that he's not out of this just yet. He can recover in this race, perhaps play some strategy, or maybe just raw pace his way back up to the front. Jonah, not out of this one, but certainly he's made life significantly harder for himself in today's race. He won't be happy, and I'm sure he'll be pushing perhaps a little bit too hard now, so I think if he can steady himself, recompose himself, then there's a chance he can definitely charge back up the order, at least onto the podium. But at the moment, it's all about maintaining your stability as a driver and as a car. As you see, he's pushing very hard now, and every mistake he makes in this state, it will just make his situation even worse. So maybe just needs to take a lap or two sitting behind the Aston Martin to recompose and get ready to roar back up the field in this race, because we know Jonah has some strong pace. It's just a matter of whether he can keep it all together and make no more mistakes in this race. But up at the front now, Kart Racer so close to the back of the Aston Martin. Now the race leader is very much within DRS, because, well, he never managed to escape it. Oh, but he goes off the road. Kian makes a mistake. A sign of just how hard he is pushing in the Aston Martin. A big mistake up front here. Could this give a chance to Kart Racer? Kart Racer looks like he's happy sitting behind at the moment here in Mexico. You don't want to be that lead car with the length of the straight here. You want to be that car in 2nd position. So Kart Racer sits behind at the moment. We know this driver knows what he's doing in these sorts of battles, and be exciting to see what strategies he pulls off. But at the moment, a very close group here. It's got yellow flags further back in the pack. Who's had an issue? Is it Micheluzzi who's gone around? It looks like it may well have been the Alpine driver. So he's lost a little bit of ground there, now behind Van der Broek, who spun earlier in the race. So another issue for another driver. But as I was saying, the top 10 all within DRS of each other, which crucially for Jonah means he's still in the DRS train of the leader. However, there's this weak spot in it. Trasmike at 9 tenths, make that 8 tenths. Maybe that's going to help him out here just a little bit. For Trasmike on the verge of losing the DRS here. It's a chain that looks about to break. That does go above 1 second there, as now we see Kart Racer. He's made the move for the lead of the race. It looks like he perhaps feels like he's got the pace to pull away out front. He makes the move and takes the lead of the Mexican Grand Prix. Small little wobble there going into turn 2. That's going to give Kian a chance to retake the lead, but of course Kart Racer is going to have DRS once more. Only 1 detection point for the first 2 detection zone, DRS zones, sorry, here in Mexico. So Kart Racer will hold on to that. Lynx in 3rd, but it does not look like Kart Racer is able to pull away right now. Kian hounding the McLaren driver. Mexico is very much a track where it's much easier to follow than it is to lead, especially when we've got close racing like this. When you're in 2nd, you feel, you've got so much more pace in the car in front of you because of just the power of the DRS. And then you get ahead of the car in front of you and realise, oh wait, no, I don't. As we see a big mistake there from Lynx, who's lost a lot of time to the top 2. Dirtier hurting him. But that, of course, will back up the pack a little bit more and help out some drivers further back in the order. Lynx now trying to re-attach himself to the top 2. That Trasmike is caught back up. Now one of the weak points is Jake in Williams, but look at this scrap up ahead of him. He should catch back well within the second that he needs. As then Chiquito behind, and Jonah still in this one, but perhaps struggling to get back on the front foot here. But up at the front, could we see another change for the lead? Kian, does he want to retake this one? He does want to retake this one. He's going to go to the outside into turn 1. Will this move pay off? It looks like it has. Goes around the outside of Kart Racer and up into the lead of the race. Kart Racer drops down into 2nd position, and perhaps we could have a pretty exciting race here on our hands. Kian perhaps looked like he was holding up this group to begin with, but I believe that is just how powerful the DRS here is. You don't want to be the leader. It seems like that's the case, but that hasn't stopped countless drivers trying to take the lead away. Kart Racer took it away from Kian, and Kian took it right back. So these guys are looking racy so far here in this event, trying to do all they can to get out front and to get that clear on the wing. As we see another penalty, the second penalty of the race, is Jake Marsh in the Williams, gets 3 seconds, multiple warnings there, pushing too hard in this DRS train. We said the dirty air might hurt some of these drivers in this train of cars, and it looks like it has. First victim in this lead group is Jake Marsh in the Williams, as he gets a 3-second time penalty. I doubt that will be the last we see today, as he joins Cameron with a penalty. As Keane will pit at the end of lap 8, pitting quite early here actually. He'll come into the pit lane. Kart Racer staying out. He'll get DRS because he's behind Keane at the detection point, which will give him a bit of security when it comes to links in second place. But a very strange strategy here from Keane, pitting far too soon, surely, to make this race a one-stop strategy in any way. I imagine it'll be a one-stop. However, I don't know for certain, so don't take my word for that, but I would imagine the one-stop would be the favourable strategy here in Mexico. However, tyre is particularly low here. We could well see a 2-stop, that is possible. So perhaps going to be exciting here to see what these drivers respond with. I know on previous games it has been a 2-stop is the quickest here. However, on F1 2021, the tyre wear has tended to be a little easier, and strategies that were slightly harder in the past are easier now. But we do see Kart Racer now wheeling that McLaren around this S section, trying to break that DRS. Oh, it's a mistake! Kart Racer spins from the lead. Another mistake for the race leader. You could see how hard he was pushing that through that S section, and it's another mistake. One of the rare mistakes we've seen from Kart Racer this season, but it's another spin from the lead. Kart Racer goes off again now, much higher speed than Jonah, and somehow Kart Racer kept that out of the barriers. That could have been much worse. That could have been race over, but somehow that McLaren is still on this racetrack and still has all 4 wheels attached, plus a front wing for as an added extra. Wow, that's a shock there. Kart Racer, big mistake in the McLaren driver, pushing too hard, perhaps sniffed a chance to break DRS, but sadly it was not meant to be, and he makes a mistake, as we could see a change for the lead here. Looks like they're going to stay as they are. It's Davey and Lynx, the two that battle it out for the win in Interlagos. These two and other drivers battling out for the lead on lap 10 of the Mexican Grand Prix. Could we see a repeat of last time? Will it once again be Lynx versus Davey? This time it's Trasmike in third, and unlike in Interlagos, it's not just a free car fight up front. Much more drivers in this battle for the lead here. It's DRS train at least. Lots of drivers are battling away, looking ahead of them at the moment, trying to get themselves far up the road, but as long as the car in front of you has DRS, it's very hard to pass. So I think drivers like Trasmike and Dommel and Chazza all will be looking to try and see the top 2 battle, because if those two start to battle, that gives a chance to some of those further down the order to try and capitalise and close in to that battle for the lead. But if they just sit nose to tail, I feel the only driver that could perhaps try something is Trasmike in third, because if Davey starts to back off a little bit, Trasmike could have a chance of getting up into P2. But I feel at the moment it is Lynx and Davey, very much the two drivers at most in contention for this victory so far. Lynx leading the way on lap 11. It's been a very unusual event so far. We've had 4 different winners, 4 different leaders, in this race. We see Dommel making a move up the inside of Trasmike. That's a brave one into turn 1. He was very late on the brakes there. Doesn't make the move on this occasion, but he's very much in this fight as well. It looks like the Alfa Romeo has got some good pace at this point in the race here. So let's keep an eye on the Alfa Romeo of Dommel and see what he can do in the rest of this one. He's very much pressuring Trasmike, and crucially is not going to allow Trasmike to back off a little bit, give these top 2 a bit of space. He's going to push Trasmike into the battle for this lead, and that will annoy Davey, because Davey won't be able to back off, and that will annoy Lynx because he'll have to be passed. It's simple as that. His nice comfortable lead while second place was happy cruising. Second place won't be happy cruising if third place wants to pass them, and that's all caused by the fact that third place wants to be passed by fourth place wants to pass third place. So it's a train of cars here having a chain effect on each other as they make their way through the final sector now. Someone right here, and a lot of drivers still no sign of anyone else pitting, so a very strange strategy there for Keane, who is down in 15th place on hard tyres. I suppose doing a one-stop soft to hard, but these guys trying to make this soft to medium strategy work, as we now see Dommel is going to make the move for third place down the inside of Trasmike. A little bit of contact between the two of them. Let's see how this one works out. Trasmike trying to fight back, and there's more contact. That could be an end plate damage to Dommel as he gets a 3-second time penalty. And that is going to give the top two a chance to break away here. Dommel and Trasmike, they're continuing to battle up into the next chicane. Dommel will not be happy with how he's been raced here. He's going to go and try and go for the switchback. And now around the outside. That's a brave move. He's going to get forced off the racetrack. Surely there's no way of going around the side of that double apex hairpin, and there isn't, but he's going to try and cut back. He's going to try and switch back to the outside of the S section, but there's no chance for a move into there. Trasmike holds on and will continue to stay ahead in this battle, and that has given the top two a chance to break away, and I'm sure they will take that as Kart Racer gets a 3-second time penalty. More and more drivers getting penalties now. We've got Dommel, Chazza, Jake, Kart Racer, Cameron, Mitch and Van der Brug, all with penalties in this race so far. It's we knew there'd be a lot of track limits penalties, but only 12 laps in, we've had quite a lot so far. And we're only a third of the way through, as into the pits comes Trasmike from third position, followed in by Chazza there in the McLaren. Well, anyone else behind them pit? It does not look like it there. Just those two on this occasion. Those on the medium tyres could prove to be quite interesting twist in this race as well. They'll be looking to try and make something happen in this race. But yes, as it is very much Davey versus Lynx once again up front. Lynx so close to the back of Davey as Davey has taken the lead away from him on this lap. Davey takes the lead off of this race, which is our 5th different leader of this race so far. We could be on for a record of the season here, as Davey now leading this one. And I say that, maybe not a record, but I feel like it's going to be a record for most sort of legitimate. I know that doesn't really count as a record, but like, to have 5 legitimately different race leaders. These aren't leaders through pit strategy. These are leaders through battling for the lead, not making mistakes. You could argue Kian lost the lead because of pit strategy, but I mean, it's a strategy that only he has gone with, so perhaps that is a mistake in its own right. But yes, Lynx now pressuring Davey, and crucially, that swap for the lead has allowed Dommel to catch back up here, so perhaps Davey trying to get some more people in this top battle for the lead, which is an interesting decision there if he was planning on doing that. As Kart Racer gets another penalty, and into the pits comes Lynx on this lap. Will he be followed in? He will be. Dommel follows him in, so does Jake, so does Kart Racer. More and more drivers coming in. Lars on the soft tyres, he's going to stay out another lap here. Yakazan, the first driver who, actually no, the second driver who started on the mediums. Cameron's way up in the order here. He's had a good race so far. He's the first driver on the medium tyres yet to pit in this race. First driver who started on the medium tyres. He's trying to make something happen. They're trying to make an alternative strategy, play himself into the win, but of course that penalty is not going to help him in the slightest. But again, so many drivers have got penalties so far in this one that it may end up cancelling itself out in that sense. But yes, Cameron with that penalty not going to be helping him at the moment, as Jonah now gets the penalty. The early race leader, the pole sitter, has a penalty. He's now in 8th position. See a battle here between Lars and Yakazan. Yakazan on the medium tyres, much more grip than the softs at this stage of the stint. Soft tyres really starting to fall off here, and Yakazan takes that position on the road ahead of Lars, who I imagine will be pitting in this time. I can imagine the undercut being quite powerful here as well. Let's look back to those who have pitted in this race. Jonah is 1.4 seconds behind Kian, who was the first driver to pit in this one. Jonah close to follow. Chazza gets another penalty here. And then quite a way back, then we have Trasmike and the others even further back as Lynx is behind Trasmike. I look forward to seeing what happens here as Davey and Cheeto are into the pits on this occasion. I think we should have to wait and see how this all plays out, because it's hard to tell what's happening in strategy at the moment. We could have some changes for position and perhaps another new race leader here in Mexico. Kian is going to be the first car to fly past, closely followed by Jonah, who is perhaps getting some help here from his teammate Van der Brug, who'll be trying to hold up the net race leader. Kian on those hard tyres, trying to make the strategy work. Interesting play here. As Jonah has gone with the same strategy as a side-by-side through turn 2. That's a brave one. But there's a side-by-side through turn 2 there. Jonah, medium, is trying to take those. What's that? That'd be, 26 laps in this race? Roughly. But probably more actually looking. That's the same pit lap. That would be 28 laps in this race. Wow. I don't think that's going to happen for Jonah. I think he's going to have to pit again in this one. But certainly he is in a interesting strategy there. But Kian doing well as he now gets past Lars. He's flying as Lars continues to race on this track at the moment. He is committing very much to a safe one stop to mediums by the looks of things. He does not want to risk of putting all those mediums too soon and getting a puncture late in the race. As now we see Van der Brugge making the move on the AlphaTauri with no grip at the moment. So we've got some yellow flags for back in the pack. Who is that with some issues? Is that Mitch going slowly? It is. Mitch has got some problems. Looks like he may have had a spin in that part of the lap where we saw Kart Race have the issues earlier on. Is there any damage? Does not look like it. Perhaps just a slide for him. But certainly something's gone wrong for the Alfa Romeo driver, yet to pit in this race. Now behind those who have already pitted, so not going well for him so far. But let's look back further down the order now. Behind those who are the net race leaders, we have Kian, who is... Let's change this graphic, shall we, to see who has pitted. Lynx is up in 6th position on the road. Third driver to have made their pit stop so far. Davey is in 4th. Then we have Micheluzzi, who is yet to pit, getting in this mix as Trasmike has pitted as well. He's in 8th position, but that would be a net P5, I believe. As look, oh, contact! That's a big moment there, as Dommel clatters into the side of the Alpine there of Micheluzzi, and Micheluzzi clatters into the side of Chaza. Big contact here, as has some issues, perhaps some more damage for some of these cars. Was it Kart Racer or was it his teammate that got hit in that contact? Because if it was Kart Race, that could have some effect on the championship here. Does the McLaren driver have some damage to his car? As up at the front, I believe Kian has got ahead of Yagazan. Is there any problems with any of these guys? It doesn't look like it. Maybe Williams are caught up in it as well. Lots of cars there, as Micheluzzi and Dommel had a lot of drama here. And it's getting quite chaotic here in Mexico. Dommel gets up ahead, Mitch getting ahead of Micheluzzi there. Both of those drivers yet to pit. Dommel has pitted in this race, looked like he was in a good position. However, drama in the braking zone of turn 4 has knocked Dommel down, and he will have to pit. He has got wing damage, and that's some drama in this race as Jonah is going to pass. Oh, it's contact! Another bit of moment there as Dommel retires from this race. We've got a battle for the race lead, net race lead I suppose I should say. Jonah has taken it away from Kian. He's charged up to the back of the Aston Martin and taken it away. The mediums on that car working better than the hards at this moment, but surely Jonah has to pit again in this race. Those mediums trying to take an impossibly long distance in this one at the moment. But Jonah is ahead and is now the net race leader. Of course, the driver who got pole position is, in theory, out front once again here. As let's switch back to the tyres that everyone is on to see what everyone is in terms of a grip situation. As Van der Brugge gets a penalty in this one. Penalty's certainly going to be something that plays a factor later on in this race. We'll have a look at that soon. But at the moment, let's see. It's Jonah with a 7/10 gap to Kian. Kian may want to try and retake that position. However, to be fair to Kian, his smartest strategy here may be just to be pulled along by Jonah. Let Jonah use up his tyres here and get that extra boost of pace from those medium tyres, get pulled along by him. Gives them a bit more of a gap to those other drivers who are on even fresher mediums further back in this race. But yes, this is a very interesting strategic race we have on our hands here. Drama already on several occasions in this race. Could there be more on the way? There usually is, so it's a safe guess, I think it's fair to say. Let's see how this one goes. Jonah still just ahead, as let's look back to the battle for the leaders on this particular strategy. Lynx is ahead of Davey and Travmike on those who pitted slightly later in this race. These guys, in theory, I want to say are comfortable mediums to the end, but even then I don't know if they're comfortable. This is maybe it's a two-stop forever. I don't know. I should have done more research on what the tyre wear is at Mexico. Realistically, that would have been a smarter decision. But yeah, it's leaving us all to have some surprises in this race, I feel. But I believe that Trasmike will go to the end along with Davey and Lynx, as Davey has actually lost quite a bit of time there. Trasmike's on his rear end. Davey having some issues in that S section. Dirty air. It seems to really hurt some drivers more than others. We've seen, I think it was Lynx earlier in the race who had some issues with it, whilst the car behind him didn't. And again, we've seen that Davey had issue with dirty air and the car behind him didn't as well. So perhaps more drivers used to it than others. I don't know. It's a strange situation we have on that side of things. But yeah, it's a curious one to see this group of cars continuing to go. As Kian right on the back of Jonah here. He is really getting pulled along by the race leader. Curious again. It's a curious could well be the key word of this one. It's got yellow flags. There's contact. And is that Trasmike? Is that Trasmike from the battle of that group? It is. Trasmike has had a problem, and he spins around again. The Red Bull driver, his teammate retired early in this race. Trasmike looked like he might have a contender for the win right there. Oh, as around goes Mitch. Mitch has had a problem as well. Trasmike, though, potential contention for the win. And it all goes away with one spin there. So all gone wrong for the Red Bull team today in Mexico on a day that looked like it could well be theirs. It's a problem, as that could be a retiring car there for Trasmike. I believe it is, or is he going to keep going? It looks like he's still continuing to go. Hard to tell here. It looks like Trasmike may try and make it back to the pits here, but unless there's a safety car in this race, I fear that Trasmike's race may well be over. Let's look at the yaw in the car in the high-speed corners. It's on the limit, and that's why it's on the limit. It's over the limit, not on the limit. Trasmike clinging onto some grip through there. He is not happy in that machine. Got some issues as he's now going to let through Lars as he nurses that Red Bull back to the pit lane. Could we see a retirement, a double retirement here in Mexico for the Red Bull team? That would be a shame. He's got a change for the leader of this particular strategy. It is Lynx getting passed by Davey. The two that battled it out for the win last time out are battling once again, this time on a different strategy, as they're still quite a ways behind the leaders, the actual net race leaders. But again, I say actual as if I know what's happening or going on at all here. But yes, Davey, I believe, well, certainly the leader of this particular strategy. What this particular strategy is above what I'm capable of doing. However, he is leading on this strategy at the moment. I believe he is going to be going to the end of this race on those tyres. I believe anyone knows better than me, which is most people, to be fair. If you do know better, please let me know in the comments if you have any idea of the strategies going on here. My belief is that we'll see Cameron at some point within the next 5 laps pit onto the soft compounder tyre. Is he going to pit this lap to prove me wrong? He is. That is... Oh my, that is... And that's why I'm cautious about saying exactly what strategy people are on. So, Cameron, he is pitted. We'll move on. Jonah, I'm confident will have to pit again in this race. I believe, and that is too far for mediums, at least certainly too far for mediums to go at a comfortable pace. But he is currently our race leader. Kian, on the hards, he should be able to comfortably go to the end of this race on those hard tyres. They're not the best race tyre, however, they look like they've got the lifespan in them. As Yakazan is into the pits here, he is pitted at perhaps some yellow flags, so I don't know what that quite was for. Oh, was that slow on the main straight? It's Trasmike again with some issues. That's an odd one. As I believe there may be battle here going on between Davey and Lynx. Looks like Davey is still ahead of the Ferrari drivers. Look at this train of cars battling their way through. And yes, Akin can go to the end here on those hard compound tyres. Davey, I believe, can go to the end on those mediums. Much fresher mediums, and of course softer than the hard of Kian ahead. So he should be catching up to Kian ahead, along with Lynx on the same strategy, who should be following him up to the back of the top two. Then Van der Brugge yet to pit in this race. We should see him pit in the next sort of 5 laps. Then we have Chiquito, who is running in 6th. He, again, same strategy as Lynx and Davey. He will be trying to just reel in those top 2, currently running in the net P5, going to the end of the race. So is Chazla. He's slightly more on the edge of that strategy, I must say, but he also should be going to the end of this race. Oh, it's Trasmike. He's crashed in the middle sector of the lap. Could this bring out a safety car? It will. The safety car is deployed. And crucially, the leaders are past the start-finish line, so everyone will have a chance at a free pit stop. And, well, that's changed everything. Forget what I've been spending the last 10 minutes discussing. Forget it all. Safety car is out. I believe we will see everyone pit who is... But everyone will pit except those who have just pitted. Cameron, he will stay out. Yagazan, as he's into the pits anyway, I guess he'll stay out next lap then. Micheluzzi, he'll come into the pits for a set of softs. Mitch will probably stay out, maybe go for a fresher set of softs. Rafa will pit. Pretch will pit. Jonah will pit. Kian will pit. Everyone, all of the above, will pit in this one. Even those on the soft tyres are pitting for a newer set of soft tyres. Who knows what's going on here. But yes, I believe everyone will pit onto the soft tier to have a sprint to the finish. And this is great news for Jonah, who will now re-inherit the lead of the race. This will be a legitimate race lead now, but everyone on the same strategy. Kian will be in 2nd, arguably the best position in the entire racetrack, with that DRS advantage over the car in front of you. Davey, whilst it may be annoying that he's lost his chance at getting his way back in on strategy to lead, definitely any risk that this strategy wasn't going to pay off, which with a 6-second gap ahead was quite possibly an option that this strategy wasn't going to work. He's back into this lead group, got a good chance as anyone else now, as everyone will, I assume, pit, as yes, indeed, Jonah does pit, Kian does pit, and just checking now after some of the mistakes I've made in this one. Yes, linked again, another driver, same situation as Davey. Van der Brugge, massive break for Van der Brugge. He is now legitimately in 5th place. He might lose a position here with a double stack at Haas. Maybe he'll get away with it. But he hasn't pitted yet in this race, gets to pit onto a fresh set of soft tyres. He'll be in this one. Cameron will take the lead of the race, actually. Sorry. Oh, so much is going on. I'll have to have a drink under this safety car. Cameron has taken the lead because he had pitted not long before the safety car. Then his couple of laps on those fresh soft tyres, setting a couple brilliant lap times, giving him an undercut on the entire field despite the fact that he pit under green flags. But Van der Brugge, massive break for him, yet to pit in this race. He's effectively gained an entire pit stop in this race now, up in 6th position. Chazza, Jake, Cheeto, kart racer down in 10th position after that spin he had. Unlike Jonah, and I did mention when Jonah had that spin, I may have got something right in this race, that one of the ways he could still fight for the win is if he strategises his way back up front, which is exactly what he did. And maybe a bit of luck with the safety car, but he's up front second now. He's the one arguably in the best seat in the house. He's in 2nd place. Kart racer, he had a similar mistake. He also spun from the lead of the race. Lost a similar amount of time, actually, despite the difference in speeds. Could have been a much worse crash for Kart racer, but as I said, lost a similar amount of time. However, close to the pit window already, he couldn't really strategise his way out of it as easily as Jonah could, and hence he's down in 10th position now, as Kian has gone to the medium tyres. I've just noticed that. Well then, is that an interesting strategy? I could see why he's done that. I can see what he's done there, actually. The soft tyres in that first stint, after about 10 laps, really dropped off. The medium tyre was quicker. However, that was with higher fuel, and that potentially made the tyre wear worse. Well, it would have made the tyre wear worse, that's not a technical thing. So if these tyres do drop off around lap 10 again, then great decision, Kian. That's a good choice. He's going to have the best tyres at the end of this race. However, there is equally a chance that he is going to get swallowed up on this restart, losing 5-6 positions as he just gets blasted past in the corners by these with the fresher, well, the just as fresh but softer soft tyres. Clue in the name there. The soft tyres, in theory, can have so much more grip than the mediums. Just aren't going to be able to compete in these early laps. The first 5 laps of this stint, Kian may as well be out there on wet tyres. Not literally, but anyway, he's not going to have much grip in these first stages. He's going to feel pretty good in the car, it's not going to feel too bad, but compared to those softs, they are going to be on rails. And if he can hold position throughout these sort of first 6 laps of the stint, the tyres will start to balance off around lap 8, I feel. Around there, the tyres will start to balance off, the mediums will become as good as the softs, and then from that point on, the mediums will edge ahead of the soft compound tyre, get a little bit better each time, and they go past that finish line. And that is where we could see Kian get into this fight. However, crucially, he has to be up front and has to maintain his position up front to be able to capitalise on that, because the difference in grip at the end of the stint will probably be quite similar to the difference in grip at the start of the stint. So it's just going to be about managing this one. If he can stay third, and if he's still third by lap 30, he could very well win this thing. If he's back in 7th, it's going to be near impossible for him to do much in this one. So get ready, everyone, don't go anywhere. This is going to be an exciting finish to this race. Strategy has been wiped out in this one, and as the safety car, it's a very late call for the safety car. Let's have a quick look at penalties. As pretty much everyone on the soft compound tyres not worth seeing, really, that strategy. So we'll put up penalties now for this restart as Cameron, with 9 second penalties, getting ready to restart this race from the front. He is back on the throttle, and we are green here in Mexico. It's a strong restart for the Alpine driver, trying to break the toe already before they get him a near turn on. So many weaves on this straight. This could be bordering on the legal limit here, as Jonah is going to try and make the move into turn 1. Not going to be close enough on this occasion. Right up the back of the Alpine, though, as the entire field nose to tail once more in this race. It's going to be exciting to the finish now. Jonah putting the pressure on the Alpine driver in the lead. He's going to look to the outside, maybe to the inside. No, he's going to stay behind on this occasion. Not quite able to make much happen here, but Jonah pushing as hard as he can to try and take this lead away. With 3 seconds to penalties, Jonah's going to have a tough ask to win this one here. But of course, there's drivers in a worse position, certainly, those with 9 and 6 seconds of penalties. Those in an equal position with 3 seconds as well. But crucially, Davey and Lynx, both without any penalties so far in this race, could be a spanner in the works here for Jonah, who's looking very strong here. And I believe will likely take the lead away in the coming laps of this race, as Cameron does the fast lap of the race. Just shows how much grip there is in these soft compound tyres, flying out front at the moment. But as you can see here, Jonah is pacing himself at the moment behind the Alpine driver, trying to take his time on these tyres. I say that, he goes deep into turn 1 though, so perhaps he is pushing harder than it looks. But crucially, can't risk getting another penalty, because then Kian will be just as in a strong position. But equally, Davey and Lynx perhaps need to start looking at each other here in the battle for the win, whilst of course they have to stay within that 3 second of Jonah and Kian. It shouldn't be too hard. As long as they stay in DRS, they should be able to manage that gap and stay right there. However, of course, Kian is on those medium tyres. Perhaps that will back these guys away from the top 2. But as I said, you know, Davey and Lynx, if they're within 3 seconds at the end of this race, of Jonah that is, they are going to be the 2 battling away for this race win. As Van der Brugge gets another penalty, that's 9 seconds for the Haas driver. And that is the second driver in this race so far to hit 9 seconds. Strange, and perhaps shows a sign here. Some drivers on 9 seconds, yet some without any penalties at all. So, a real difference in the field in this one so far. So, exciting stuff in Mexico, as DRS is now re-enabled. Of course, won't be available down the first 2 straights of the lap. Their first chance after this restart to use DRS will be down the back straight. Okay, I don't think they'll be close enough to make much happen from there. However, on the next lap around, they will get DRS down the main straight and up to turn 4. So it should go well, as Davey crucially gets a 3 second time penalty, and that now means that Lynx is in the best position in this race to take this one away, as Michelizzi gets 3 seconds added on to his time as well. So now it's Lynx who is in the very much best position. He doesn't need to race anyone anymore in this one. He just needs to stay within 3 seconds of Jonah, and he will have a chance at this race win, his first race win of the season. Could he manage it in that Ferrari? Third 2 races ago, second last race. Could today be the day? Could he keep up this run of good form and take the win? It's looking quite possible here. It's all about managing to not get a penalty now. As long as Kian stays in that DRS, which so far, impressively, he's managing in this point, it should keep this train close enough for Lynx to be within 3 seconds of Jonah. But if these guys start to spread out a little bit, it could be trouble for Lynx and could give the opportunity and the chance to pull away to Jonah. This could be Jonah's first chance to pull away out front. Does he have the pace to do it? He's got the DRS. He's going to pass the Alpine for the lead of the race on track. Can he pull away from here? Let's see. Jonah is back to the lead here in Mexico. So many different leaders in this one, but Jonah has well, he led them across the start, and let's see if he will lead them across the finish. Certainly looking likely at this stage, but don't rule out Kian. He has done a good job of managing his position so far, really putting in some impressive lap times on the medium compound tyres, doing a very strong job so far. But he is still in this fight up front. If he can get to the stage of the race where the mediums are the better tyre, then he could get back in the fight for the win. His kart racer gets another 3 second time penalty and joins the 9 second club, which is becoming a vastly more populated club than it was on the very start, as Jonah gets 6 seconds. Crucially now it's Kian ahead of him. Now Davey with 6 seconds as well. Wow, the penalties are really rolling in now. It seems as soon as someone gets that first penalty, they seem easier to get that second penalty. They just lose, I suppose, that extra carefulness, that cautiousness that they had before their first penalty, and they perhaps push a tad too hard here. As we see, as we see now, it is Jonah pulling away, and he's got that 1 second gap up. Crucially, he's got that 1 second gap up. Kian, can he follow through on what Jonah did? Doesn't look like he's going to be able to manage to make it happen into turn 1, but now Jonah has got a good chance here at the lead of the race. It is exciting stuff. You're going to have to keep an eye, our eyes glued to those margins. It is going to be, I believe, a three-way fight. It's going to be Jonah with the clear air out front. It's going to be Kian on those medium tyres with 1 penalty less, and Lynx has got past Davey here up into turn 4 of the racetrack. It's position 4 for Lynx, currently in a position to win this one. He's 1.8 seconds back from the car that needs to be within 3 seconds of, and he is, let's see, what is his gap to lead at the moment? 3.5 seconds behind from the car that needs to be within 6 seconds of. So it's all going well as 12 seconds is made for Cameron there. He joined Van der Brugge in the 12 seconds club. It's a new club has been made here in Mexico. But look at this now, we're going to have to keep our eyes glued to these leader intervals. Let's see who is going to be the one to take the win here with 7 laps remaining in this race as they come across the start-finish line the next occasion. Cameron really struggling for grip out here. Kian surely is going to have to move down on this lap. Could be a very important move for his race. If he can break that 3 seconds to Link's behind, that would be enough for him to take the win of this race. But let's see. Kian is going to get ahead of the Alpine driver into turn 1. Kian gets up into second place. A strong move around the outside of Cameron. And is back up in to second place. And is going to be looking to try and reel in our race leader. Kian, at this point in the race, is going to start to feel an advantage on those medium tyres. He is going to be only getting quicker from this point out. Relatively quicker, I should say. He won't literally get... He may gain pace, actually, with a clear air ahead of him. But yes, now, Kian, 1.4 seconds back. If he can pass Jonah on track, that could well be crucial for his race here. The gap to Link's 4.2 seconds. It is getting close now. It is now about 3 seconds between Lynx and Kian. Kian now is looking set to take the win. This is getting extremely close here. Doing a great job in this race so far, as Mitch gets another penalty. So many penalties all over the place. We've got lots of battles further down the order as well. We've got Kart Racer and Tito side by side into the stadium section, giving the fans a good spectacle through here. There's contact, and the championship leader has been spun round by the Aston Martin. The McLaren of Kart Racer has been spun around, and he's going to have to try and get himself back going again. And he's going to drop outside of the points, and will probably not be able to recover at this point in the race. Kart Racer is out of the points, and crucially, the championship leader is going to lose points today as he pulls his McLaren down into the pit lane. Is he going to keep going, or will this be a retirement for the McLaren driver? As now we're going to switch position, and it's a retirement. The championship leader is retired in the race. You now see Chiquito battling with Jake Marsh, as we see more and more battles across the field here in the dying stages of this Mexican Grand Prix. Just 6 laps remain, 5 after this one. We are in for a treat here. As Jonah continues to lead, but with that 6-second time penalty, Brecht gets another penalty. He's now on 6 seconds. Only 3 drivers remain in this race with no penalties. And I believe one of those is an AI. So I mean, credit to the AI, they've managed it, but realistically only 2 drivers in this race yet to get a penalty. Those are Lynx and Alexander's Jake Marsh gets another penalty, as those yellow flags are Kart Racers AI, retired AI on the main straight, so ignore those. As Nelson Kian, 1.7 seconds back off the race leader. I believe currently in a position to win this race. It's going to be close though. If you add 3 seconds to his time, it would be 4.7. That puts him in 3rd place. That would put him ahead of Lynx, crucially, and he's within 3 seconds of our race leader. So this is going to be an intense finish. Can Jonah continue to pull out front? He's starting to edge that gap out ahead. If he can continue that, then we could well see Jonah break the 3-second window that he needs. However, equally, as we see battling perhaps further down the order, no Davey sitting behind Lynx at the moment, perhaps knows what's for stake for Lynx, and doesn't see the need to risk it given the penalty situation around him at the moment. There is no need for him to be passing anyone at this stage in the race, perhaps. Shows some respect to the Ferrari driver who's racing for his first win of the season. Meanwhile, up front, 2 seconds is the gap between the top 2. 3.6 seconds is the gap between net second and 3rd. It is... wow, this is exciting. Jonah needs to pull another second ahead. Lynx needs to pull another 6/10 in on Kian. 3 drivers pushing to the limit here to try and win this Mexican Grand Prix. As Yakazan makes it only 1 driver without a penalty in this race now. And that driver is Lynx, who could well win today. Getting close though. Lynx still currently in a net P2. However, his gap to Kian is too big currently. It's not going to be enough as Van der Brugge gets a penalty here. We see these drivers pushing it so hard. Will Lynx be able to manage this? It's getting on the verge of even being within Jonah's gap now. This is going the wrong way for Lynx at the moment. He doesn't have any DRS, neither do the other top 2 in this race. But perhaps the pressure from behind is not doing him much good here in this race. Lynx pushing as hard as he can, but he knows he can't get a penalty. He can't risk it. If he's on 2 warnings, he knows he can't make a single mistake in these dying stages of this race. With just 3 laps left after this one. it's going to be a close one here. As Cameron at the moment getting pulled along quite nicely by Kian in second place. I imagine Cameron perhaps knows what's up at stake as well, doing something similar to Davey, which is just sitting behind the car in front, letting them pull them along. The gap, 2 seconds between the top two. Will Jonah be able to pull this gap out even further? Let's look at the ERS. It's very similar between those two drivers. Looks like they're pretty much equal going through the S section. Lynx is down on them ever so slightly, but it's tiny percentages. It may as well be equal here at this point. You can see they're using every last drop as Jake Marsh gets another 3-second time penalty. Every time we see that pop up at the top of our screen, I think we all take a moment, we panic briefly. Who is it? Could this have an effect on the battle for the lead? But it's just Jake Marsh at the moment, down in 8th place, who hits 9 seconds of penalties in this race. The three names, we're to look out for here up front. Jonah, will he get another 3-second penalty? Will he confirm his loss of this victory? Will it be Kian? Will he throw away his chance at the victory here today? Or will it be Lynx, the only driver in this field yet to get a penalty? It's going to be battling here as we see Chazza looking for the move in this group of cars, battling their way into the first chicane. Kian, 2.1 seconds back now, just 9/10 away from dropping out of that 3-second window. This is going to be closer. Will we see a new winner again here today, or will it be Jonah once more? It's going to be an exciting finish here. Just 2 laps left after this one as he has swapped position down in P9 at the back end of the points here. With so many penalties here, I'm not even going to try and begin to guess the positions below 3rd place in this race. Feel free to calculate that at home, but at the moment I'm going to focus on this top 3 because I can just about manage that maths as Cameron gets a penalty there. Second driver to get 15 seconds in this race. Him and Van der Broek seem to be having competition there on who can get up the penalties quicker. But yeah, at the moment it's looking still as Mitch gets a penalty there. 12 seconds for Mitch in the Alfa Romeo car. This is intense scenes here with 2 laps remaining here in Mexico City. It is going to be a close as ever finish. Who will take this one? It's still the gap, 2 seconds between the top 2. Jonah with the seemingly impossible task of making that gap 1 second bigger. He's gained a 10th down that straight. Looks like he might be running lower wings as Jake Marsh has come into the pits here. Perhaps the fastest lap attempt for him in the Williams car as he drops down outside the top 10, throwing away a chance at points, but with penalties, who knows if that was an actual chance or not. It's getting closer. Lynx really looking to be out of this one now. He is 2.5 seconds out of 2nd place, and sorry, it's 1.5 seconds out of 2nd place, and is 1.5 seconds, 2.5 seconds, sorry, out of. Is that right? If we had 3 seconds on. Oh, who knows? It's too confusing. At the moment, it's looking very much. It's Jonah versus Kian now in this race. Lynx, whilst it's so impressive that he's managed to avoid penalties, it's looking like it won't be enough for him today. In a 4th position, just seems to be losing too much time further back in the pack. Kian on those medium tyres. Are those softs starting to fade for Jonah? Could this be the crucial decision that could win the race for Kian in the Aston Martin? He went with a strategy on both occasions. Every time there's been a pit stop required in this race, Kian has gone the opposite of everyone else. He went hards on the first pit stops of the race. When that safety car came out, he went for the mediums. Nobody else did that. Only those right at the back of the pack even considered that as an option. But Kian, he went for it. He committed to those medium tyres. As we are now on the final lap of the Mexican Grand Prix. It's Jonah versus Kian for the victory here. Jonah out front. Let's see Davey has passed Lynx. It appears the Lynx and those around him have realised that it is not going to be today for the Ferrari driver. Davey up on the road into 4th position, but we know that position will change after penalties as Lynx struggling for grip here. Chazza is going to pass him here as well, I believe. He's still got no penalties, so we'll gain these positions back after the flag, but it's looking like it will be no more than 3rd place today for Lynx, who looks to try and extend his run of good form. But up at the front, it is Kian versus Jonah into the S section now. In terms of ERS, Kian with a slight advantage, about 10% over his rival, with just a few corners left in this race. A sector left as Cameron now gets another penalty. That's 18 seconds for the Alpine driver. This is going to be close here as see the Alpine way off track in the background, as now we see Kian 1.7 seconds back. That gap is small enough as they go through the stadium section for the final time. There's confetti everywhere, but who will it be for? Jonah out of the final corner. He's lost time on this final lap. He's pushed too hard, and Kian is going to win the Mexican Grand Prix. A great drive for the Aston Martin driver, and on penalties will win here in Mexico. It will, I imagine, be the Ferrari of Lynx who takes P3. No penalties. What a performance there for Lynx. He deserves that podium so much. Not a single penalty. The only driver who isn't an AI in the field to not get a penalty here. It is a wow, what a performance there for Lynx. Great drive for him, but Kian will win in Mexico. Managed to get only that one penalty and puts in an outstanding performance, and well, that is another surprise turn in this season than we've had. Kart Racer out of the points. Jonah P2 is good for his championship chances here, whilst they're still slim. Certainly improving in recent races for the Haas driver. This championship could well turn optimal. Davey getting a decent finishing position as well. He'll cut into Kart Racer's lead just a little bit, maybe allowing us to see this championship go a race longer than it was originally expected to do so. But today is all about one driver, Keegan. He didn't go with what everyone else thought was the best strategy. He never just followed what everyone else did, and if you follow the leader, you will follow the leader. He did something different, and he wins in Mexico. A brilliant drive. Nailed that one, and, well, finds himself on the top step of the podium with Jonah in second place. Lynx completes the podium in there. Confirmation he did indeed finish this race with no penalties. A brilliant achievement for the Ferrari driver. Then Davey in fourth, as I said, crucial points in this championship race. He will cut into Kart Racer's lead. Not a huge amount, but just enough to start to make Kart Racer think just a little bit more. I believe the gap will be down to 35 points, the lead, which is still over 2 race wins, but it's 8 points less than it was when we started here today. Then in 5th, Yakazan Mercedes taking him a great finish here. 4th and 5th, Yakazan from 18th on the grid. Nailed the penalty. Only one penalty for him as well. He jumps up the order late on. Then it's Chiquito in 6th with Chaza in 7th. Then it's Lars 8th. Cameron in 9th after finishing on the road in 3rd. Lost a lot of time at the end there. With Van der Brugge in 10th. Those two drivers with a lot of penalties at the end of this race finish up the points paying positions. That was an exciting race. That finish was unexpected to say the least. We thought this was going to be a strategy race. The safety car came out. We thought the strategy race was ruined. We thought that there was going to be no more strategy in this one. Everyone simple, softs to the end. But one driver didn't think that. That driver was Kian. Picked something different, and it worked today. So congratulations to the Aston Martin team who take home a win today. So that was it for round 11 of season 30 here in PSGL PlayStation F6. Another brilliant instalment into what has been a brilliant championship. Oh, if we had started this championship in round 4 or 5, what a title fight we would have on our hands. But sadly, we have to give a shout out to Kart Racer. I know no points today, but again, he put in the work earlier in the season, and this is exactly why it's important to build that gap in the championship, because you have tough days like this one, and he finds himself down out of the race. And wow, what a season we are having at the moment. As I said, perhaps a quieter start to the season. Round 1, I said that's certainly not included in that quieter start comment, but wow, we had some quieter races earlier in the season, but it is all changed recently. Whilst the championship still looks like one man has it, each race we come to, we never know who is going to win, and that's exactly why you should tune in next week for the next race of the season, what I'm sure will be another brilliant race this season, and that race will be the Singapore Grand Prix, another track where tyre wear can be a huge part of the undercut, massive around that track, so make sure you tune in next time. But that is it now for round 11. Thank you everyone for watching, and until next time, goodbye.